Hello, and welcome to the DVD for Essential Teacher Knowledge. I'd like to explain what you'll find here. While Essential Teacher Knowledge was being written and edited, I took a camera around with me and interviewed teachers from a number of different countries around the world. I asked the teachers to talk about how they teach English and what they do in their classrooms. And you can find short extracts from these interviews on the Teachers' Voices tracks on this DVD. The teachers are giving their own opinions, of course, rather than just repeating what's in the book. And they talk about teaching adults, about teaching young learners, and about teaching CLIL, that's Content and Language Integrated Learning. These teachers' voices remind us that English teaching is a worldwide profession and that we are all part of one big English teaching family, even if, like all families, we don't necessarily agree with each other all of the time. But we wanted to demonstrate some teaching techniques too. And so we filmed 3 teachers, Connor, Emily and Tom, in London, working with classes of adults from various different countries. You can see them using a variety of teaching techniques and procedures. Most classes around the world are not mixed nationality classes like those that Connor, Emily and Tom are teaching, of course. But the techniques they use are appropriate in most situations, even when classes are bigger than theirs. Each track on this DVD tells you which unit in the book it refers to, so you can go back and read about the technique that's being demonstrated or learn more about the opinions that teachers are giving. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Connor and Emily and Tom for agreeing to be filmed, and to thank all the amazing teachers I've had the privilege of interviewing for this DVD. I hope you enjoy watching everything here as much as we have enjoyed putting it all together.
In particular, in the case of children, I think you have to be very sensitive, firm but sensitive, because it's probably the first learning experience you're having, and it's going to be with you for the rest of your life. If I would hate of somebody having a child having a negative experience and that experience being with them for the rest of their lives. So I think that you have to be very sensitive, but firm. That doesn't mean that anything can go in the lesson. I think that you have to care, and when you care, children can tell. People can tell when you care. I think you need to be patient. And in the case of children, I think management is essential for having a nice classroom. Management is very important with all age groups, but particularly with children, because they might misbehave. I think that rather than attacking problems when they arise, I think you have to prevent problems from arising. So I say that I think that it's very important to establish rules from the very beginning, and probably if they are negotiated with the students, if you negotiate them with them, they're going to be more accepted.
The more you get the children involved in the learning process, the better is for you to be listened, to play the real role a teacher should have in a lesson, which is just advise, help, support, but not lead. I think leading, there are children that cannot follow you, maybe because they don't connect with you, maybe for many, many reasons. But when you have strategies that involve their own interaction, and you let them interact with the people they want to interact, and when you control the situation from outside, not from inside, you can realize that the majority, you are more likely to be successful in your teaching. And this is very difficult to be understood by people who think teaching is getting in front of the class and explaining things and checking that they understand what you explain. But actually my experience tells me that the more space you give students to do things in your lessons, to use what they know and to learn on their own, the better they learn. And the more able they are to express what they have learned. And in CLIL, this is essential.
Now, one thing I think generally kids actually hate that demotivates them is when you're speaking at them and judging them because they got an F. Actually, a lot of kids would prefer that you actually just sit them down and say, hey, you know what? I was just like you, but I'm going to help you. I know you got an F, but I know how you're going to get a better grade tomorrow. And when teachers actually sit down with them and talk with them, it's the most motivating thing ever.
Yes, I've just found a course and it has a puppet with it. And it's a lovely puppet, very cute, and the students love this puppet. And once I left the puppet in the staff room and the kids demanded, where is Cookie? And to tell you the truth, I had no idea where Cookie was because, anyway, I told them, well, Cookie is sick today, sorry. So anyway, yes, I have a puppet and various kinds of puppets, not just one, but it's very easy to get them and buy them, and it's very rewarding because students love them. To make a shy student speak, for instance, yes, they are talking to the puppet, not to me. So they are not talking to the teacher, they are talking to this cute character that they love. But it's quite important to check that they love.
We have to be very aware of the age group we teach, and that the activities, the grammar activities that we use should actually be disguised or packed into nice activities where the children get a lot of repetition, a lot of use of language, and the grammar is actually acquired inductively without being aware of the use. No explanations, no grammar, no actually grammar teaching should be there. That's my opinion.
Because I teach the content in English, sometimes parents don't know, because they don't speak English, what their children are learning. And sometimes I need the children to be conscious about the structure of the area, because English is not their mother tongue. So when they are very young, it's difficult for them to know what they have been doing and what is left, what they have to do yet. So I use the blog to inform parents, and indirectly to a student too, about the content we're learning in Spanish. I put this in Spanish. So if we are learning roads through history, we are now trying to get to know how in ancient Rome roads started to be made very properly, how we have implemented these kinds of techniques, and we have got to make the roads with concrete nowadays. So all this information is written by me in the blog in Spanish, and when we do the test, as I was saying before, parents can help students.
Well, I usually use pairwork and group work. The reasons is because I really think that students need to be motivated, and it's not only the teacher as the teacher center and the students. I think that if they share ideas and exchange information between or among them, it's really very useful for them to learn. I think that pairwork and group work and knowing each other better is going to benefit the class. For example, with juniors, with teenagers, they prefer working in small groups instead of working with only one partner. Yes, because sometimes they are shy. If they are girls and boys, sometimes they don't want to work together if they are paired. But if they are in a group, they feel more confident and they work better.
If they're not interested in what they're reading, then it's not going to make sense for them. They're not going to be motivated to read. Say, for example, if a student likes Brad Pitt and they're reading People magazine, I say, go for it. It might be too difficult, but if they're interested, they'll try to get through it. And I think that still works.
It's important to maintain authority and not to worry about disciplining them a little, because you think, okay, they're adults. I don't mean that you should be strict and very distant. You should be very friendly, but they should know that whenever you give some instructions, they have to follow the instructions. And if you do it nicely, they just know that it's in their own interest, so nobody minds. If there's chaos in the classroom, just because you're friendly and you don't want to criticize anybody, no, they will not be happy. They don't like too much freedom either.
As a teacher, you have to be like a showman. You have to attract the students. You have to find new things in your system. And we have course books in our system. We follow the books, but if the unit topic is not interesting for the students, I give the basic choral things, then I just turn to the things they are interested in.
I always do some vocab tests, so every week, so they know, okay, every Thursday we have vocab test, and I give them 4 pages, and they have a week to prepare the vocab, and then I'm testing it with synonyms, idioms. So sometimes they have to explain the word in English, sometimes they have to give me a synonym or the antonym. So yeah, I do it like that. And they like it because it sort of makes them work, and they get a reward for that. So if they were diligent at home, if they worked hard, so they get a good mark for that. And if not, they know why.
Differentiation also includes giving less work to one particular student because he's a slow learner or a low achiever. I just don't do that. For example, there's this thing I read somewhere saying, like, you might give 10 questions to a high achiever student, and to a lower achiever student you might limit the questions with only 5, half of it. I don't do this because it is an open manifesto, like, you are weak, you are really strong. I just get them to choose the thing that works best with them. You know what I mean? I don't make it explicit to everyone, not to themselves. Or I don't tell them, you write a paragraph with like 100 words, and your word limit is only 50 words. I don't do this because it can humiliate people and demotivate them.
It depends on the stage. It depends on the objective of the activity. For example, if it's an activity for accuracy, obviously I'm going to correct students. Okay, for example, a drilling. Okay, if I am doing a drilling because I want them to fix a grammar structure, I'm going to correct them because they have to do it correctly in order to fix the grammar structure. If it's an activity to develop fluency, I do not correct students, okay? I always let them speak, okay? They speak. Otherwise, they are going to feel inhibited from participating, from speaking. And I want to encourage them, okay, to speak, okay? Use the language, okay? Don't be afraid. Use the language to give your opinions, make comments, fine.
there is a perception by a lot of students that grammar has to be more of a mechanical process, which is good. It helps them learn. But also, ultimately, the communication is the goal, and grammar is used for communicative purposes. So that's something that I believe a good grammar activity has to have. I actually like to work a lot through guided conversations in which the grammar is embedded in a context, but at the same time allowing students to come up with their own kind of endings for some of the sentences, and in creating more exchanges that will allow them more freedom to work with. It could be a conversation in which two people are just wishing, let's say the second conditional, and they're talking about their wishes, and then having them practice for a while, and then asking them to rewrite the conversation with their own personal wish, not really what was written originally, but what they would wish. And it's still very guided. It's still focusing on the grammar structure, yet it allows them to have some more of the communicative freedom within the conversation.
Well, I think students need to be exposed, of course, to as many accents of English as possible. So not only accents, well, native accents, but also non-native accents, because they need to be able to communicate with other non-native speakers. And I think once they reach the point where they're able to communicate with a range of speakers at different levels in different contexts, they know that their pronunciation has reached a point where it allows them to, well, be considered fluent.
My activity is called Come On, and today I use it, I always use it. And I just say, let's play Come On, and the students know what it's about. Okay, I previously make a list of up to 5 words from the previous lesson. And let's, for example, say that I would like to talk about family. And I say that let's play Come On, the first word is mother. And then all the students tell their own word, the first word they can, that they think of. For example, mother, the string can go on like this: mother, father, baby, bedroom, cook, school, like, love, or whatsoever. All the students are involved in the activity, and what I like most is that you can't think of an end of the activity. All the students want to participate, even those who are not so sure about their level of knowledge, or shy, or whatsoever.
I sometimes ask them to find 5 words that were new for them from a text, for example, and they find interesting, and maybe look them up in the dictionary, and then I pair them up with someone else and they share the words and they have to explain the meaning to them. But I make sure that what they explain is correct, because sometimes they don't quite understand it correctly, so you have to monitor always at that stage.
Very often I do that, projects, big projects. I put students in pairs, or maybe 3 students together, and they love it. You should see those PowerPoint presentations. Sometimes they are amazing. I wouldn't be able to create them. They are like movies. And the time they spend on it, and also the whole research that they do on the internet in order to actually prepare that. Obviously they're using English websites because they need information in English. So it's a great thing.
My trademark game at the end of a lesson is I have a pack of cards with animals on them, and so at the end of a lesson we play I Am an Animal, and I pick out a card, and they have to ask me yes/no questions. It's like 20 questions, you know, and the first side to get it wins. And then we hear about the animal, there's loads of information on it, and you know, it's nearly gone, so it's nearly, what's the word, and you know, and we can get some vocabulary from that as well. And you know, animals opens up a whole world of vocabulary in itself, so it's quite valid too. But I think the end of a lesson is the most important time to trick them into thinking they've had a good time. You know, they walk out and go, oh, I won the animal game, and they feel all right about it, you know.
Well, we review things we've done throughout the day. Sometimes if I have vocabulary on the board, like new words that we've learned, I would probably just keep them on the board, and then at the end of the lesson, like get them to repeat, drill the words for pronunciation, but I'd probably erase like one word at a time and then try to get them to remember the words that were there. So right now, all the words, or some of the words, have been erased from the board. So then I would tell them what was number 1 and 2 and 3. And that way, they find it fun because they have to try to remember what the words were, and then I'm also checking their pronunciation at the same time.
At the end of the lesson, we have exit card. The teacher writes one question that he or she feels is the question that will show to him or her that they understood what she was teaching today. And every student has to write an answer on this exit card. And they cannot exit the classroom without putting this card on the teacher's desk. And what the teacher does, the teacher takes this exit cards home and analyzes it. Did they get it? Did the majority get it? Or 3 students didn't get it. So the next day the teacher comes and she prepares activities for these 3 students to make them understand, and works with them while the other students move along. And at some point these students will catch up because they understand. If they still don't understand and you try to move on, you will lose them, and they will lose motivation as well.
We often give students words and phrases which are all jumbled up. In other words, they're in the wrong sequence, and they have to put them in the correct order. Connor, Tom and Emily show 3 different ways of doing this.
Okay, I need 5 students. So Yuri, Malika, and Pedro, and Salilat, and Özgür. Do you want to come up here? Stand in a line here. So Salilat just here. And then you can make a line all the way to Pedro. Might need to move back a little bit. Good, good, good. Okay. I'm going to give you a bit of paper. Don't look at it, okay? Don't look at it. Just hold it up, yeah? Don't look. Hold it up. Okay. Hold it up. Good, good. Okay. Everybody? Is this correct? No. Okay, so you need to tell them to move to make a sentence.
Malika, yes, Malika first. I think Malika should be first, no?
Manuel's wedding was yesterday.
Yeah.
You need to tell them. Tell them.
You?
First?
Yesterday.
Malika? No, Malika. You should be first. Özgür, follow her. Yeah.
No. Yes.
Manella's reading there.
Yes.
No. Yesterday, you first.
Sorry, you. Yesterday is the last one. Yesterday is the last one.
Wedding anniversary was yesterday.
Was yesterday,
yeah? Manuela's wedding anniversary was yesterday.
Yesterday.
Özgür, you have to be second one.
The last one.
Yeah, second one.
Yeah.
Pedro, you have to be the last one.
Yuri.
You're the third one?
Yeah, third one.
Was.
Third one. After Özgür. Yeah?
Was.
Pedro, you have to...
Last one.
Yeah.
Okay, so can somebody read the sentence to check? Can you read the sentence?
Manuela's wedding anniversary was yesterday.
Okay, good. Sounds good. What's the problem?
Grammar.
Yesterday.
The problem is yesterday because it has a
capital letter.
Okay, and the capital has to go at the
First.
beginning of the sentence.
Yeah,
okay,
beginning.
so
Manuela's
So-
Is the section.
anybody else?
The verb.
Was so Sally Latt needs to move as well. Okay. Okay, so let's try that again. Can somebody else read the sentence? Bruno, can you read the sentence?
Yesterday was Manuela's wedding anniversary.
Very good. Are we happy with that? Yes? Yes. Excellent. Very good. We need the capital at the beginning, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you in your groups an envelope. When I give the envelope, open it and put all the words on the table in front of you. Okay? There's a 3, a 3, a 4, a 3, and a 3. Okay, when you've done that, look up. When you have the words, just look up. Check your envelopes, check there's no other words inside. Just check there's nothing. That's fine. Okay. Now, all of those words together make a sentence. Working in your group.